Galatians chapter 5 verse 1, and 13 to 18. You were called for freedom. Brothers and sisters. For freedom Christ set us free, so stand firm and do not submit again to the yoke of slavery. For you were called for freedom, brothers and sisters. But do not use this freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, rather, serve one another through love. For the whole law is fulfilled in one statement, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you go on biting and devouring one another, beware that you are not consumed by one another. I say, then, live by the Spirit and you will certainly not gratify the desire of the flesh. For the flesh has desires against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, these are opposed to each other, so that you may not do what you want. But if you are guided by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Christ died to set us free from a long list of man-made laws and regulations. Romans chapter 3 verses 28 to 30, For we hold that a man is justified by faith apart from works of law. Or is God the God of Jews only? Is he not the God of Gentiles also? Yes, of Gentiles also, since God is one, and he will justify the circumcised on the ground of their faith and the uncircumcised through their faith. I am sure you have heard people say, I'm saved, or justified, by faith alone not works. That understanding of this passage can be traced to the first and well-known Protestant reformer, Martin Luther. When translating the Bible for his new faith he inserted the word alone which follows his theology, so it became faith alone. When his critics asked why he had inserted the word he said, Dr. Martin Luther says it is so. At the present time I am unable to find any Protestant Bible that uses faith alone, in Romans 3:28. They now use James 2:22-24, to explain the concept that we are not saved by faith alone. You see that faith was active along with his works, and faith was completed by works, and the scripture was fulfilled which says, Abraham believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. You see that a man is justified by works and not by faith alone. When St. Paul speaks of faith apart from works of law, he is speaking of Old Testament Jewish laws, circumcision, Passover, and the like. Christ brought freedom from those laws. Luther deleted those portions of the Bible which didn't match his theology. He wanted to delete the book of James but yielded to the pressures to retain the book which he then demeaned by calling it the Epistle of Straw. To serve one another in love is the ultimate goal and sign of Christian charity. Think of the parent that gets up at 2 a.m. to feed and change the diaper of the baby and then returns to bed so that they can go to work the next day and earn the money to buy the formula and diapers for the baby. Now that is total self-giving, acting out of humility and becoming the slave of another. As Jesus responded in the 22nd chapter of Matthew verse 36-37, Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law? And he said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. The second is like it, You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. On a daily basis we are engaged in a war to save our souls. The enemy in our war is ourselves, our desire to sin, and live for the flesh, and be self-centered, and the other side is spiritual, and a desire to please God and lead a peaceful joyous life. Unless we follow the Spirit, we will leave the freedom God has to offer and become slaves to our sin. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13, No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your strength, but with the temptation will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it.